What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and today I'm bringing you a little bit of a different video than I usually do because I have two cars in front of me. I've got the Honda Civic Type R, and right next to it I've got the 2024 Acura Integra Type S. These two cars are very similar on paper. They even have the same engine and transmission, but there are a lot of key differences that might influence your buying decision. So in this video we're going to take a look at both cars, and at the end I'm going to tell you which one I think I would spend my money on. Let's take a deeper look. Let's begin the video by taking a look at the exterior differences between these two cars, and I think the color alone just shows you how big of a contrast that there is between the Type R and the Type S. This is going to be the visually more aggressive car, that being the Civic Type R, especially when you get Boost Blue, which is definitely the most outrageous color that Honda offers on this car. I love this color. It looks really crazy given the red accents. You get the red Honda badge, you get your Type R badge right here. You just have such an aggressive front fascia. You do also have the vent in the hood that we will also see here on the pearl white Acura. So this color is actually called platinum white. It's a $600 optional extra. In fact, most of the colors on the Type S are actually a $600 extra. I believe silver is the only color that you actually are going to get for free. The Type S is going to have a more chiseled front end than any other Integra. I think it looks so cool. I'm loving that Acura like diamond grille here. We have our Type S badge, little bit of red in here in the S, just like we had on the Type R badge. I love that they stamp Integra into the bumper. That's the only place you're actually going to see Integra. There's no badge. It's all stamped in just like the original Integra. You still have that hood scoop right here as well. But the thing that you're going to get on the Integra that you're not going to get on the Civic is this wide body kit. You're going to have these fenders. I believe that pushes the Type S about 2.8 inches wider than the standard Integra, which just makes it look so cool and so mean. You're going to get these gray 19-inch wheels as standard with the red brake calipers wrapped in Michelin Pilot Super Sport 4S tires. They are fantastic as well. 4-piston Brembo brakes is what you're going to get under is what that caliper is going to be. You can also get these wheels in gold. It's the same wheel, it's just going to be finished in gold, but it costs like $2,500, so I don't think it's worth that money just to get a different color. You do also have your Type S badge here on the fender. Now, compared to the Civic, you still get 19-inch wheels. They're going to be a more black finish. The Brembo caliper is actually going to say Brembo on it, whereas this one says Acura with Brembo on top. So just a little bit of a difference there. We still have the same Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires here, but you can actually get Cup 2s on this car if you really want to be aggressive, if you're going to be tracking your Type R. Acura does not offer the Cup 2 tire on the Type S. Now, while we're back here, we'll go ahead and take a look at the trunk space. The Civic is pretty massive. I love the hatchback space in here. You get this cool sideways cover that goes like so. You can see that there's a decent amount taken up by the wheel wells here, but again, just deep amount of storage. You've got this little lip going up, but it's really easy to just grab these rear seats and drop them down if you need a little bit more space. Now here on the Integra, we also have a decent amount of space. I kind of like how Acura maybe smoothed out these walls a little bit. It also lays a little bit more flat comparatively to the Civic, but there's really not a huge difference in the cargo space. You do get a larger opening. You can see that the bumper comes up a lot higher here on the Integra versus the Civic, but practicality wise, they are pretty close. And now let's go ahead and hop inside. We'll go ahead and start with the Civic Type R, where again, the boy racer theme definitely continues here with these crazy red Type R seats. I love how they have Type R embossed in the headrest. You've got your harness points right here if you want to go full 4-point harness. Now, these are manual seats here on the Civic. You cannot get a power seat. You also cannot get any other color for the carpet. You're going to have this red. It looks really cool when it's clean, but I actually drove this car out in the rain. These got all damp and they did not look so great afterwards. These seats have like a suede material on them. It does feel very premium, but just noting that it is not leather. You cannot get leather on the Civic Type R. You also have more of that suede here finished in black on the armrest. Let's go ahead and step on in. We've got a nice leather wrapped steering wheel. Again, we have our red Honda badge here. Very, very Civic normal door panel here. As I'll point out, you get a nice little chime as you go ahead and start it up. I'm liking the black leather here with the red stitching here. Go ahead and push in the clutch, foot on the brake. Start up the Type R. And everything you see in here, very similar to a normal Honda Civic. We do have a nice digital gauge cluster, so it's going to change a little bit depending on what mode you're in. So this is going to be your default comfort mode. You can see it has kind of like a grayish tint. Let me go ahead and zoom in on that. Your sport mode is going to give a little bit of a reddish tinge to the gauges. And then there's also an individual mode that you can customize. You do have a plus R button down here. You go ahead and push that. Now you are going to get this cool Type R gauge where now the tachometer is going to be much larger up here on the top. You also get these nice shift lights. So as you approach a red line, the shift lights are going to tell you when to shift. This is something that you do not get on the Integra. I talked to Acura about this and they said they didn't think that it was right for an Acura product. So unfortunately it doesn't have it. Maybe there is a way to hack the ECU to get this on the Type S, which I think would be really cool because this is really nice when you are driving spiritedly. Now we do have the infotainment system here. It's a 9-inch screen as standard. You do have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. There's really not a huge difference between this in the Type R versus how it is in the Integra. The only big difference is going to be the audio system, where you have a Bose system in here. I forget how many speakers it is. I believe it's like 9 speakers, but as you'll see in the Acura, we do have a nicer ELS studio audio system in that one. So the audio system is better in the Acura. You do have dual zone automatic climate control, which is nice. You've got your USB ports. You actually have 2 USB-A's here. As we'll notice, that's a little different on the Acura. You've got your wireless charging pad right here. As standard on the Type R, you're going to have this nice metal shifter that is a throwback to the old Type Rs. It's actually like a very similar shape and material as well. I like this shifter. It's definitely going to get hot in a place like Florida if you happen to live someplace hot. It's going to get cold too in the winter as well, but it is a really nice looking shifter. The Integra does not have this as standard, but it is available as an option. So just pointing that one out as well. We do have our little Type R badge letting you know the production number of your Type R. And we do have this nice sort of metallic finish here on the center console, which I think looks really nice. And we do have our really nice deep cup holders. You'll see that those are very similar as well. And I also want to point out that adding to the red theme, even the seat belts in this car are red. Now here in the back seat, although the front seats are red, the back seats are actually going to be black. As you can see, you could definitely fit a car seat in here, no problem at all. You do have your cup holders here, so you do not get a middle seat. This is strictly a 4-seat car, and these are definitely a cloth seat. This is not as nice as the suede that you're going to go ahead and get on the front seats here. That is a much nicer finish, but not too bad. Just a very basic Civic back seat. I do like that they at least put some red stitching on it. Straight away, as we open up the Integra, we're going to notice that this is a much more premium cabin. So rather than the crazy racing bucket seats that you're going to go ahead and get in the Type R, these are going to have a much more comfortable seat. We have leather on the outside. You're going to have Alcantara here in the middle, no matter which color you get. This happens to have the red finish, but there are other colors available. You can get this in an all black, or you can replace the red with a white leather. Now, it's going to depend on your exterior color. Not all of those interiors are available with all of the exterior colors. So be sure to make sure that the color combo you want is available. We do have the word Type S embossed here in the headrest, just how we had Type R on the Civic. These seats are actually heated though, unlike the Civic. So you do get heated seats. You also get power seats with power lumbar. So these are power adjustable. They are not in the Civic. So that is something to consider. If you are looking for a power seat, that is a little bit of a nice luxury option. As we go ahead and close the door, we notice we do have a little bit of leather here. We also have some nice ambient lighting that appears on the door. I believe it's like right here as well. The door card, a little bit nicer here on the Integra. And as I mentioned, the ELS Studio 3D audio system that comes in this car as standard is much nicer than the Bose. The Bose is a really nice upgrade over what the previous Type R had, but the 16 speaker ELS Studio system in here is way better still, even than the Bose. Foot on the brake, foot on the clutch, start it up, and we can start to talk about some of the differences here. As you can see, the gauge cluster is pretty much the same 10.2 inch unit that you get in the Type R, but the animation is a little bit different. The imagery is a little bit different. So right now I am in sport mode. Comfort mode is going to be your base. That's like a blue finish. Sport mode is going to be white. And then you have Sport Plus mode where the dials go into red. And as you can see, the needles glow in yellow, which is a really cool nod to the old Integra Type R from like way back in the 2000s. We do have an individual mode instead of a plus R button. That's just going to allow you to customize what you want in terms of suspension, steering, the gauges. You could have blue gauges on individual if you want, even though everything else is set to sport. So that's just an interesting little change there. We do also have a head-up display. That is something that we do not get on the Type R. It is pretty nice. I do like having it. It's a 10.2 inch it's a 5.3 inch HUD, what Acura says. You can have your speed on there, navigation prompts, things like that. Unfortunately, you can't have it show your gear, like what gear you're in, which does pop up here on this display, and it can't like tell you when to shift either. There's no shift light or anything like that. I think Acura missed out on putting that. I really would have liked that, when I'm really focused on driving, I would have liked to have had that shift light. Now the steering wheel is a little bit different here on this car. As you can see, we have perforated leather here, regular leather here, the same red stitching here in the middle. We also have the Acura badge, obviously, and it says Type S here on the bottom of the steering wheel, unlike the Type R. You can have this wrapped in suede if you want as a dealer add-on. You can also get a heated steering wheel. This car does not have that. It does have the heated seats though. Pretty much a lot of the dashboard is very similar between this car and the Type R. We have the same dual zone automatic climate control. We do have our heated seat buttons here. This screen is almost nearly identical. It even has the same clock function where you can have Asimo, the Honda robot from a few years ago up there. You do get some different materials on the dash. This is kind of like a sporty plastic. You also get whatever your chosen leather color is here on the dash, just adding a little dose of making this car a little bit more premium. We do have the same wireless charger, but we have a USB-A and a USB-C port on this Integra, whereas we added two USB-As on the Civic. As I mentioned, the shifter is a little bit different. This is the standard shifter. You can see it's perforated to match the steering wheel with a red shift pattern here on the top. I think this shifter is just fine. It's really, really nice. Doesn't get as hot in the summer. We have the Type S plaque surrounding it as well. If you want to go ahead and get the metal shifter that you can get in the Type R, you can go ahead and get that here. The cup holders are pretty much the same. The armrest is leather rather than suede. Same amount of storage in there. And then this is just a little bit different. Not really sure why, but the Integra Type S does have a sunglass holder, whereas the Type R does not. And then we finish up by looking at the back seat, where the Type R made an interesting choice to have suede in the front and then cloth in the back. The Integra Type S has the Alcantara and leather in the front, but then just pure leather back here. So you're going to get a lot of red if you go for the red in here. This is going to be all white if you get the white, and then black if you get the black. Just like the Type R, no back seat, or no middle seat here in the middle, sorry. Just your cup holders, no fold-out armrest as well. And then I kind of wish Acura would have put some rear air vents back here. You are paying a premium to get the Integra Type S, but it does feel very, very similar to the Civic back here. Now, unfortunately, I will not be driving the Type R in this video. I didn't want to take my buddy's car out for an entire afternoon. He did let me film it graciously next to the Type S though, and we are going to drive the Type S in this video, but if you want to know how the Type R drives, I do have a video of this up on the channel. Now let's talk about the engines. It is the K20C 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's the same in both. As you can see though, this one has the red Honda cover. It says Type R. Kind of looks like a carbon fiber finish here. Now the engine is exactly the same, You get the same carbon fiber finish, but it says Type S on this one, and it says Acura here. You do actually get 5 more horsepower here in the Type S, 320 in the Type S, 315 in the Type R. A lot of that has to do with the better flowing exhaust that is in this car. I think they deliver a little bit more boost in the Type S as well. But let's go ahead and see how the Integra Type S feels out on the road.
All right, so now let's get the Integra Type S out on the road to see how it drives. And I just want to make a short note. I have noticed the audio issue. Either I'm going to redo the whole video in post, which will be terrible, or leave it as is and try to fix it. I apologize if my voice has sounded really scratchy. I'm dealing with like a cold, and the mic equipment is not working well, so I do apologize about that, and I apologize if you're hearing a little bit more road noise in this driving portion as well. I had to just ditch the mic setup and use the built-in iPhone setup because it was just sounding like hot garbage in the car, so I thought I'd rather just play it safe and use the iPhone audio. Back to the Integra. This thing might be the best driving front-wheel drive car I've ever driven. It's so fast. Whoa. As I mentioned before when we were looking under the hoods, you get 5 more horsepower than you get in the Civic Type R. Can you really feel that? Probably not. Maybe a little bit if you were to drag race them next to each other. This is not a car that was built to win magazine tests, to have the fastest quarter mile time and fastest 0 to 60. In fact, it runs 0 to 60 in just 5.1 seconds, which is really not all that quick, honestly. Like 5.1 is, I mean, it's quick. It's not, it's not crazy numbers, and it'll run the quarter mile in 13.8. Again, respectable, but like, oh my God, it's not like this incredible thing. But I think it's all the better because they didn't just make it stupidly fast in a straight line. When you put your foot down, you feel it through the wheel. It talks to you. You feel that little wiggle as if the car is getting pulled, because this is a front wheel drive car. You don't get that in a lot of more powerful cars, even ones that are with rear wheel drive. And I've just been driving around in comfort mode where it might as well be an Integra A-Spec. Let's go ahead and put it into Sport Plus. Whip it around here. Let's do a quick little launch here. Let's go. Oh yeah, it'll spin those front tires. Slam it in the second. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh, it pulls so nice. The suspension does get a lot firmer in Sport Plus mode. Not enough to be completely unbearable, but I do love that the comfort dampers on this car are tuned to be softer than they are in the Civic Type R, making this just a little bit more livable. The steering, as I mentioned, oh my God, this is some of the best steering you'll get on any new car, let alone a front driver. When you put your foot down, when you take it off, you feel everything through the wheel. It's so great. It's buzzy, it's fun, it's communicative. It's everything I want in a sports car, everything. This transmission, I'm sure you've heard people talk about it before. This is the best manual transmission money can buy. I think at any price. Maybe there are some Porsches, very, very high dollar ones with a better one. Oh, yes. But I love rowing through the gears in this car. I like slowing down just so I can go through the gears again. You get automatic rev matching. The functionality of that is going to change whether you're in Comfort or Sport Plus. In Sport Plus mode, it does a fantastic job. You honestly don't even need to heel toe yourself. I did make a slight error when I was doing the walk around portion by saying that this doesn't have a shift light. It doesn't have a dedicated shift light at the top. However, as you approach red line, the tachometer is going to flash in red a little bit to let you know when to shift. So there is a function in this car to let you know when to shift. I just don't think it's quite as noticeable as it is in the Type R. So one short little thing to comment on there from the walk around video. But I will say the exhaust on this car alone makes this worth the premium over the Type R. You get those cracks and popples from the exhaust. You don't get those. The Type R, it just doesn't sound as good. And that little extra power, the Type R is really just as fast too, but this thing just pulls so well. And then when I'm all done driving like a lunatic, I can put it in comfort mode and then it just feels like an Acura. The Civic, you're still sitting in that aggressive race seat. You're still seeing the giant spoiler behind your head. This just feels like an Acura. I can listen to some tunes on my ELS Studio audio system. I can plop on my adaptive cruise control with my amazing lane keep assist, and I can just enjoy being in an Acura. This is such a great car for daily driving, for canyon driving. I mean, you could go out and buy a set of Cup 2 tires if you really wanted to track it as well, and then you'd really have the same performance that you get in the Type R. I really just don't see any downsides. Even the fuel economy is not that bad. You'll get 21 in the city, 28 on the highway, 24 combined. That's not bad for 320 horsepower. I think the one thing I would say is maybe I wish it had a few more luxury features to justify being $7,000 more than the Type R. You know, maybe a 360-degree camera. I know it has heated seats, but I wish it had ventilated seats as well, like the TLX Type S has. These are just minor gripes, though. There's almost nothing that I would change about how this car drives, and that's the crucial part of it. I don't really know what else to compare it to, really. I mean, an Audi RS3, way more money. An Audi S3 has nowhere near the amount of charisma that this car does. Neither does a BMW M240i for that point, and that's only a two-door with a much smaller trunk. This is just a really interesting little niche here, kind of between, you know, the Golf Rs and the Subaru WRXs of the world, but below the BMWs and the Audis of the world. And I think the world really needs that right now. I'm not going to go ahead and say that this is an affordable car, as we'll talk about just after I get out behind the wheel, but it is just on the borderline of affordability, and it is one of the best driving cars that you can buy today.
Now it's time to answer the fundamental question. Is the Acura Integra Type S worth the premium over the Honda Civic Type R? Now, for 2024, the Honda Civic Type R starts at just under $45,000. That is the MSRP. I cannot possibly go to whatever Honda dealership is closest to you and find out how much they're charging as a markup, because there are still plenty of markups on this car. They are still difficult to find. The Integra is going to start at just under $52,000. So it is about a $7,000 premium between the two. You might go, there's no way that what you showed me is worth the price premium for the Integra. So if that sounds like you, just go ahead and go for the Civic. But again, there are markups on this car as well. If you don't seem to have a huge preference between the two after watching this video, go for whichever one you can get. If, for example, you find a Honda dealership that's willing to sell you one at MSRP, go for that. If they're going to charge you $20,000 more for it, making the Integra actually cheaper in reality, then you should definitely go for the Integra. But here is my personal verdict. There are some things I like on the Type R. I like the shift light, I like the seats, you know, they're very aggressive, but I think that the styling, especially if you have a spouse that doesn't like cars, might get a little bit tiresome, whereas the Acura blends in just a little bit more. The comfortable suspension, the more comfortable seats, the better sound system, all of that makes it a little bit more livable out on the road than the Type R. I like that you get power seats. I do wish it had a few more creature comforts to justify that price difference. I wish it had ventilated seats. I wish it had a 360-degree camera, and I wish it had that darn shift light that the Type R has. But the sound alone would sell me on the Integra. I love the way it looks. I love the pops from that exhaust. I really wish Honda would make some changes to the Type R to make it sound more like the Type S. That might dissuade people from buying the Type S, so maybe they'll never do that. But we'll see in the coming model years, because this thing sounds how that thing looks. So it's a really interesting dichotomy there. But let me know in the comments, which one of these two cars would you buy? Would you get the Honda Civic Type R, or would you get the Acura Integra Type S? I really hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, if you loved it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.